Greetings, my internet friends. Welcome to Walking and Talking, the show where I walk and talk. I feel pretty all right. Yeah, I would almost say I feel very all right in my body and mind today. Despite the prevalence of thoughts that seem weighty, beneath that, I feel a sense of calm, of some kind of reassuredness, something. And I feel grateful to be doing this right now. I feel appreciative of the weather, which is I guess in my experience, warmer than it was last time. I might even have too many layers on. There's really, nothing to say, but I'm gonna keep talking anyways. And in all likelihood, maybe I'll kind of drift away from this truth that there is nothing to say, and maybe temporarily occupy sort of like a some kind of sub-truth where it'll appear temporarily that there is something to say, for a while, and then it'll get said, but eventually, at the end, I fully expect that we'll return to this, this reality that nothing needs to be said. But it's kind of like this. For me, it's like there's nothing better to be doing. There's nothing like this isn't important. Exactly. But there's nothing else that's more important right now. And in a weird way, it actually does become important to me. And this repetitiveness, this you could call it ritual, or just a process that I repeat and continue. It's important for me in order to keep the perspective of the actual unimportance of things in general. It's both important and not. It's important to stay in touch with the unimportant things, with the unimportance of things, and strangely enough, that you know, requires, for me, mainly just repetition of a framework. I'm walking the same path that I've walked many times before, and I'm like, I feel like comforted by its sameness. But you know, it's a different experience every time. This is a new experience of this same thing. You can really observe a lot by repeating something, because you're able to notice the subtler and subtler differences. But maybe one of the things about repetition and about doing something for a long time is that your mind isn't stuck with as much residue from all of the various things that you would otherwise be doing. You're doing so many different things. There's so much difference from one moment to the next. In the realm of like your, you know, material existence, you know, in the plane of form, so having so much difference, variety, chaos, if you will. There's maybe a greater likelihood, maybe, that at any given moment, there's still certain mental residue about something you did, something you were doing that was different, and something that you're going to be doing which is different. When you do one thing for a really long time and you keep repeating it, there's less surface level information and detail for your mind to cope with, and so it's free to cope with other things, namely cope with itself, you know, start to investigate itself, and start to investigate, you know, just on a real, you know, close and subtle level, just, you know, just the experience of what you're doing. What is going on here with my scarf? You know, and you'll notice very plainly when there's even minor variations within something that you're repeating, you'll be able to see them. They'll really stick out. Like, for instance, you probably can't help but focus on the fact that I'm wearing this baby blue hat. This is the first, I've been wearing like the same hat in the past few videos, and now it's different. I feel kind of regular in my way of living today. I ate a regular breakfast. Because sometimes I don't eat breakfast and like fast for a while and then just eat one meal a day or something. So I feel like that. Or like have a feeling as if I'm on some sort of regimen. Today I just had today I ate breakfast. And I feel, fine with the normalness of having some food in my belly. I feel I feel kind of at home with the possibility of not standing out as an individual in the world. I don't feel there's not something bugging me to like make my presence felt in the world, but sometimes I feel that, but maybe the reason I'm not feeling that is because I'm currently engaged in the activity that I'm feeling is the natural expression for me. Like, if there is any need for me to, inflict my presence on the world, I feel like this is the right way to do it right now. And so to be engaged in doing it right now, I feel a sense of well-being. Because of that, and I have 4 hours of that. It's marvelous. It feels like a very beautiful thing to me to have 4 hours in which to just occupy my natural expression. I'm unbelievably fortunate. maybe narcissistic as well, you know. But to the extent that I am, I feel fine with you know, expressing that narcissism. Like the you know, the audacity for one to imagine that just talking about no particular subject for 4 hours should be of interest to anybody else. Constantly pointing the camera at my face. 4 hours. You know, recording every expression. Every nuance of speech. Every affectation. Not having prepared anything. But there's definitely a part of me that has some kind of belief in what I'm doing. Or at least just enough to keep doing it. Or, as I mentioned earlier, enough disbelief in everything in order to have this attitude of just to keep going and just keep doing what I'm doing. Maybe even in the absence of belief in it. In the absence of the idea of benefiting you or the world. You know, this isn't to benefit anybody. And I want you to be able to relax knowing that there's nothing that you need to worry about getting here. You don't need to there's not something to get about this. There's not something to get from it. There's no secret meaning to this. There's nothing here that's like hiding beneath the surface. It's all here. And you know, it's like what your experience of watching this video is all there is. And there's not something more that you're missing. And Joe, so, you know, maybe for some moment, maybe if you happen to have the capacity for it at the moment, you can just experience this without and let go of this constant urge that we have to add to ourselves, to add to our experience, or to change our experience. You know, and like, just so you know, it would be, you know, fine for this to be without talking, just walking in silence. But it's not that. It's not that. It's just this. It's just walking and talking. Try to keep talking, and I should maybe even do a little bit better job of keeping it more continuous, you know, not be taking these breaks in between sentences. I mean, the breaks kind of are an indicator of the kind of insignificance of what I'm saying, but they're also kind of a break from the process at hand, the task at hand of continuing to talk, in spite of the meaninglessness. We'll continue making you know, syntactical sense. You know, we're speaking in plain English. We're speaking in sentences that, you know, for the most part have correct syntax, or you know, maybe there's some informal or colloquial, not colloquial, you know, some informal modes of speech. But for any English speaker, it makes sense. And it makes sense but there's not meaning to be taken from it beyond just its inherent, you know, existence. It's just like, it's just talking. It's just talking, like being allowed to exist in its own right. And for me, and for you also, you know, it's also a type of connection. It is an interpersonal connection here. But perhaps we could say that it's not a transactional type of connection in any form, in that there's not knowledge to be imparted. If there is any entertainment value, it's very minimal. I think it's possible that there's some, you know, what might occur at some points is intellectual stimulation, but that's not really the point either. The point really is only just to do it, to keep walking and talking, and for you to either keep watching and listening or not. For me, this framework is, it's like almost a little oasis in the world. Where, in which, for these 4 hours, I feel able to exist outside of you know, both a transactional way of relating to the world, and also like a striving and gaining way of relating to the world without, you know, notions of giving and taking even, but there's still some kind of interchange going on. There's still connection. It's not like I'm a hermit, you know, cut off from the world. It's true that I'm, for this period, kind of like in some ways sequestering myself socially, and that I'm not, you know, interacting in any kind of, in a social sense exactly. I'm communicating with you, and I'm very aware of your presence, and it, you know, it forms, it's like, you know, your presence here is at least as important as mine. And I'm talking to you, but it's not exactly in any kind of conventional social sense. I'm not maintaining by my conversation my social image. In fact, I'm really trying to cut through any conceptual, you know, self-representation that I have for, you know, for this moment. And that's maybe one of the most liberating aspects of it. And here we are back at the furniture dumpster, where I always check, and there's never any unbroken furniture. But just for sake of repetition, we'll look in the dumpster anyways. Maybe one day there'll be like a nice mahogany desk in there or something. it's time to restart the video, just in case the video freezes and we don't lose too much. So, see, look, you know. That's maybe something, you know, if I were to try and ascribe valuable things about this experience, one of them for me is that I'd feel able to to experience some connection in the world without without like upholding this representation of myself, this concept of who I am. I mean, maybe I am doing that subconsciously or something, but at least within this 4 hours, that's a pretty long opportunity to try and dig through that stuff. And for you, I think this is to the extent that I'm successfully able to do that. I wonder if for you, maybe this is, watching this video is an activity where you similarly might be able to experience some form of connection without having your social self, your conceptual representation of yourself be activated and stimulated in response to things that I say. You know what I mean? You can watch this video of me, and you know, you see this visual and audio representation of, you know, my personhood, at least the physical substantiation of me. But I can't see you or hear you. And so, you know, unless you're like also talking to somebody else or something, or interacting with somebody else while you watch or listen to this, then you're also kind of freed from this constant, you know, self-referencing of conceptualizing your own image through the imagined gaze of others. You know, like whenever we're interacting with anyone, even if we're just physically present with other people, there's usually something going on where you are mentally always thinking about what the other people, how they're perceiving of you, how they might be thinking of you. And maybe that, you know, maybe that disappears when you have a really easy, comfortable, like trusting relationship with somebody where you're able to, maybe there's instances where you're able to let go of that in relationship. But you know, if you don't have that, then maybe here's another opportunity for that experience. But you know, I question, is there anything else potentially valuable here? And of course, I don't feel fully committed to that question, because you know, the question of value could from one perspective be irrelevant, but there's no reason to necessarily reject the question either, you know. Unless, you know, unless, you know, is this too abstract? Is this too logical? Am I just kind of like throwing up structures here, structures of logic, in order to kind of shield myself from really sinking into the emptiness of what's going on? I'm wearing too many layers now, and I'm overheating, and I'm keeping my eyes peeled for a spot to stash my coat. Maybe for now I'll just put it in my backpack. Apologies for the externalities. That's only a distraction from the task at hand. Should I... My thought is that what's best is to remain really focused on very the most subtle levels of experience going on here, that are kind of underlying the you know, the physical specifics, you know, the specifics of taking off my coat, taking a sip of tea and stuff like that. Is that what's going on when I say something like that? To acknowledge that, to acknowledge these physical particularities as such, is that in alignment with my goals? You know, and I say that, like, I could say that if I do have a goal, it's to arrive at a goalless place to and stay there for a while. I think that's that kind of seems like the ultimate goal in life, you know? Like, to the extent that we strive for anything, that we want anything in our life, I think ultimately what it is a state of not wanting, you know, of like, you know, of like cessation, of rest, you know, like You know, we work hard in our life, and you know, we have various goals that we strive for, like short, like you know, near term, medium term, and long term goals. And it could be said that, like, the object of work, the object of striving, you know, what motivates us to do anything, you know, sometimes seems like it's towards an imagined future state where
I got like 3130,
where we're not striving anymore, you know. Like we do work now in order to not have to work later. You know, we do work now in order to avoid having to do like more difficult work later. We do work now in order to work towards being able to do less difficult work in the future, or for the work that we are doing to become less difficult because we become more proficient at it. And even if we are the type of people that you know, could be said to possess a strong work ethic, that we appreciate work in its own right, and we kind of understand I guess, like, in one sense, the unavoidability of work, and also the just like the benefits that it has beyond merely the material. Still, I think it could be said that attitude is still in service of a type of cessation, and a cessation of a mental and emotional struggle. You know, to be able to get to a place where you're working and you're not, you know, suffering from working. Like it's not you know, contentment in working. And you know, there's like work in the external sense, which, you know, can more or less be quantified. You know, if you're clocking into the job, or you're completing a certain project. And then maybe there's also work from a more interior perspective of how much difficulty and suffering is involved for the person in relation to any given task. And I think it's pretty unavoidable that even that interior work, that difficulty is pretty unavoidable. it comes and it goes. And sometimes I feel like that work on the interior level, sometimes I feel like that's kind of a subtle thing that is underlying work in the more material or quantifiable sense. As in, like, maybe, like, if there's a person who's depressed and they don't know what they're doing with their life, and they don't have a job, you know, very often it'll occur to them that that getting a job could be a solution to this depression, and it, you know, it's pretty often true. It lends a structure to your life, but you know, still, like, going to a job regularly, you know, you're always going to experience difficulty in one sense. You know, like, you'll have tough days, you know, days that feel really long and you just can't wait to go home or to stop working. And, like, it could be for any reason. Or, you know, like, you're working and, like, you can't, like, escape some kind of, like, emotional turmoil that's coming up in you, or, like, some kind of, like, ruminatory thought maybe. But the structure of having a task that is, you more or less know what you need to do, is so helpful, because it's, you know, it's an object that you can focus on. You can focus your mind away from these ruminatory thoughts that could be causing you all kinds of pain, and you just focus on the experience of what you're doing, what needs to get done. And, you know, there could be some pain and discomfort there. But you know, you just you continue on in spite of the discomfort, and maybe like you might realize that pain and discomfort is not necessarily like associated exactly with whatever thought you had in your mind that you were associating it with. You know, like, whatever wrong that somebody did to you, that hurts, but you just, you know, you feel that pain, but you just kind of you experience it fully while you have this other thing that you focus on doing. And what's really great is if you can kind of disassociate pain, discomfort, whatever emotions from the, you know, the mental conception, the story that they seem to be attached to in your mind, and really feel them fully, like in the present moment. and you can kind of like understand their kind of like inextricableness from just the present reality, you know, your present like physiological reality in relationship to the world, but also their transience. It's like this, and then you know, you can like disentangle these knots by really experiencing pain and discomfort fully, but without linking it in your mind with, like, you know, a specific cause that's in the past or in the future. You know, if it's like a really specific cause that's in the present exactly, then you might be able to do something about it. I don't know. You know, everything that I just said, like, there's also another side to it that I just have to acknowledge too, which is just like, you know, this completely practical thing of, like, you know, sometimes you just don't want to. Sometimes you just shouldn't do things that cause you pain and discomfort. I mean, of course I don't know. I guess we all know that there's things that are painful or discomfortable that seem healthy for us, and there are ones that don't seem healthy for us, you know? Like going to the dentist is probably gonna at least be uncomfortable. But, you know, it's like one of those things that you should probably just do. But, like, you know, putting your hand in the flames from the stove burner causes pain and discomfort, but it's not something that you would want to do, and barring some unforeseen reason that I don't understand. And you know, there's all sorts of forms of much more complex iterations of what I'm talking about that, you know, are really hard to say what to do. You know, like if there's, you know, like difficulties in relationships, it's like you know, there's always this question of, like, is the other person like causing you this pain, or is it a pain that's like already in yourself? Like that's always really confusing, and so many times ambiguous. And so it's, you know, like, you're experiencing a lot of pain in a relationship. Like, do you stick with it, or do you leave it? Like, that's such a complicated question. And one in which, you know, we're likely to, if we're in that situation, if you've been in that situation, you've probably experienced a kind of like extreme shifting of perspective sometimes, you know, feeling very strongly that you want to remain in a relationship one day, and then feeling exactly the opposite the next day. And your perception of the difficulty that's present. Maybe one day it's absolutely clear to you that this other person is causing you this difficulty, and then the next day you're like, oh no, now I've realized that, oh, it's just my own fault. Oh, it's just like, it wasn't understanding. This difficulty is my fault. And you just, you know, we go back and forth because it's so ambiguous and unclear sometimes. So I don't really have any specific advice for you. Other than to keep going. And you know, at some point, you know, ambiguous situations like that, you know, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be like a job, you know, like maybe you like maybe you're like really passionate about your job, and you know, get some reward out of doing it, but then like there's this other part that's like, it's really difficult, and like maybe there's like conflicts amongst your coworkers, or it's really hard because you don't feel you're being compensated enough, or there's like, you know, ethical gray areas. Like we can feel this like strong push and pull in a situation like that too, where it's like, oh, I hate this, I need to quit this and do something else one day, and then next day it's like, oh, I'm so inspired to keep going even though it's hard because it's so rewarding, or, you know. It's these strong, like these like polarized feelings that we have sometimes, you know, experiencing the like intense duality of something. And I experience that sometimes, but more and more I'm learning to really sit just in the ambiguity of these things, in the like sit in the reality that it's not fully one way or the other. And you know, more often than not, if there's anything to be said about a situation like that, it's like, it is what it is, and you can either keep going or not. And There's not, like, sometimes we reach the limits of logic with those kinds of decisions. Time to restart the video. So I kind of like to really try and get comfortable in that realm of ambiguity of things not being either good or bad. Just because if I can stay in that realm without like latching on to either one of those conclusions, then it lends a lot more, like over the course of time, like stability and like able to see things clearly in my life, because I'm not switching back and forth from one pole to the other. It's like it's as if you're trying to grasp onto the stability of something, of a situation, or its apparent stability, then, and the more you do so, the more you quickly discover its instability. And so it's like, to be able to actually like stay clear about its inherent instability, in effect, grants you much more stability in life. Like internally, to internally grasp something's instability, its ambiguity, its lack of like positive or negative value. You can when you can stick with that internally, then externally you kind of manifest much more stability in life. You're like more reliable. You waste less energy, kind of, shifting back and forth your perspective. Oh, I've been looking for one of these carabiners. This is somebody's like doggy poop bag. I think it's a bag that you put, in which you put bags, in which you put your dog's poop. There's a nice carabiner attached to it. I kind of would like a carabiner, but I'll give it a chance. I'll give the person who lost that thing a chance to come collect it. And then maybe when I walk back this way later today, I'll consider again if I want to collect that thing or give the person a longer chance, or give somebody else a chance. What was I going to use that carabiner for? I think I had like an extra set of keys or something like that. I wanted it for something. Maybe I should be able to remember what I wanted it for in order to collect it. I think it's maybe that my current carabiner that I keep my keys on, the little hinge is weakening, and so it's possible for it to fall off. But you know, these are specifics. These are specifics that are irrelevant, but might potentially offer a little bit of relief from things that are actually pertinent to our realities. You know, just a little escapism for a few moments of talking about something totally useless. I mean, like, it's useless in that it's like specifically pragmatically pertinent to my life as an individual, but not to yours. And so it's you know, a little tidbit of something totally pointless that, you know, might be able to function in this context as a little bit of relief from something that at least appears to have potential relevance to your life. It's, you know, entertainment. Oh yeah, that was the silence where, like, I think I thought that I was attempting to just observe my experience very directly, but then I noticed I was actually mostly just thinking, and as I was just, you know, thinking without talking, then I at some point noticed my thoughts kind of drifting away from what I'm doing and towards just these, and towards conceptual projections about particularities of my life, you know, social life, starting to my just like kind of social management mind starting to kick in, and think about social dynamics that I'm involved in apart from the video. And I noticed that, and like now I'm realizing that by doing this, I have this wonderful opportunity to have an object of focus, if you can call it that. It's not exactly an object, but I don't know, a task or a process or a realm of focus where I can focus on something going on that's very immediately present, as opposed to my mind kind of automatically you know, like running through like possibilities of like the implications and possibilities of like of social dynamics, and I can realize the kind of abstract nature of all of those things. And realize how it's, in a sense, it's possible to kind of resolve those things internally. to genuinely, ooh, blue heron. To genuinely stop worrying about them. Look at that bird. I wonder if that's the same one that I saw, like, standing in the cold water at nighttime. Its legs just in the water when it's really cold at nighttime. It's like something like that. That type of like the social mind that is constantly kind of maintaining our self-image in relationship to what we perceive other people to think about us. That kind of function kind of left to its own devices, especially in a vacuum or something, but also not even in active relation to other people. It really has a potential to like fragment and build up these conceptions of reality that are actually quite removed from reality, and it has a potential to like create pretty warped perspectives of reality if there's nothing to keep it in check. And for for me, what tends to keep it in check is just my attention directed inwards, or just attention directed directly towards experience, and then kind of questioning how true is this idea about myself or about someone else. But in absence of that, these ideas that we have, they run up against reality, and they're tested in that sphere. You have an idea about a person, or what a person, or you have an idea of how another person perceives you, and then maybe you actually interact with that person, and you'll find out, hopefully, to what extent that idea is confirmed or denied when it comes to actual experience. But then the problem is that idea strongly influences your perceived reality. When you have a conception of another person, and it greatly influences the way in which you interact with them, and it tends to do so in a way that confirms what you're thinking. It's like we can't help but have the confirmation bias to be kind of looking for our ideas to be confirmed by reality, and so we overlook parts of reality. And it's really easy to do because our conceptions very often tend to have a positive or negative value, something of real meaning and importance. This person is like such an asshole, they're deceptive, whatever. And then on one side or on the other side, like, this person is such a saintly, wonderful person, like there's a certain, and like we tend to like have like this polarized polarized like idea of value in relation to other people or things or whatever. And when the real reality tends to be something that's actually pretty unremarkable, it's like when it actually turns out that it's just is what it is, and it's neither exactly what you thought or it's not reality's not what you thought, nor is it exactly opposite of what you thought. And so it's like it's neither like totally confirmation, nor is it like some like grand revelation of some opposite truth or something. It's really like, it tends to be just like so unremarkable. The reality tends to be like, it just is what it is. It's not really good or bad. And like, and even like ultimately in some sense, like, doesn't even matter. It's so easy to overlook that truth because it's so much, it's not spectacular, It's like there's nothing solid to grasp on to about it. But like when we have an idea about something being really good or really bad or really anything, then it's like it seems to that idea seems like something you can grab onto and like anchor your conception of yourself to. And so we want to grab onto that. We don't want to like exist in the like pure ambiguity of reality. And it's not even purely ambiguous. It's just like ambiguously ambiguous. It's like if you were ever to actually reach the state that you think you're striving for, ultimate goal, like what are we working towards in life. If we ever actually like reach that or see it, attain it, see the reality of it, oftentimes it can be disappointing because we realize that it's not really a thing that is exactly desirable. It's neither desirable nor undesirable. It just kind of is. It is what it is. Life is life, as they say. We can get uncomfortable with that because like from that perspective, then you actually see like that that actually all the working and all the striving and the desiring, like then we realize that like actually that all of that is just as good as like what we were wanting, you know? It's like you get what you wanted and then realize that it's not actually like anything better than the state of wanting in an ultimate sense. I don't know, maybe I'm making shit up here. And then you just like you realize it's like uncomfortable to like be able to accept states of desire and states of lack, states of striving and working, and states of, you know, projecting into the future, you know. It's really hard to let go of that. Or states of ruminating about the past, things that happened in the past, like to, you know, something shitty happened to me in my past. I'm never gonna get over it. Fuck the world. God damn it. But like, you know, if you get a clear glimpse at your reality in the present, it's like, well, actually, like, you know, actually, like, right now, what's going on now, this just kind of is what it is, and like here I am now, and whatever happened to me in the past, like that's a part of this. At least in terms of memory, like that just kind of happened, and it brought me to where I am now. And actually, like what happened in the past, it actually like belongs in some weird way. It, you know, it belongs in reality. That can be hard to accept, you know, because then you have to give up this solid notion that which was defining you, you know. I felt defined by some wrong that had been done to me. That was a cool rock. That's a cool rock. And by this person in the past having wronged me, a good person, like that like hanging on to that that dual understanding you know, allowed me to hang on to a more solid idea of what I am. You know, I'm solid in the world. I'm not just you know, like the same as everybody else, or like fundamentally unified with everything. I'm like, you know, I have some solid presence or something, as evidenced by another person having wronged me or something like that. You know, that in relation to the past, or, you know, into the future. Like if I obtain this particular goal in my life, like then I'll have kind of like established myself in the world. I'll have
Got that front wheel as close to whatever it is.
Then I'll have like a concrete identity of who I am. And I'll stick out in the world. I'll have meaning, you know. I'll find a position or a title or a relationship or degree or accomplishment or something that will like solidify like my separateness. My significance. And then, you know, and so you strive towards that, and then you obtain it, and then you're kind of disappointed because like you're like, whoa, actually, you know, like that striving that I was doing, all that like work towards that goal, actually, like that was actually defining me, you know, that's what my identity was, and now I have to let go of it because I got the thing that I was striving for, and so I can't strive for that anymore. You know, and so maybe we'll naturally we strive towards a new thing, and you know, all these aspects of life, they're pretty much, they're fine, you know, they're necessary, even, you know, they belong in reality. Relationships, jobs, titles, degrees, accomplishments, you know, they're just intrinsic aspects of of reality. They're concepts, of course. You know, and there is a you know, there is a conceptual reality there, or like there is reality to concepts. I guess I have to admit at the moment, you know. And you know, to the extent that we build up our identity, that seems real. That seems real, you know. it seems like we experience that as pretty real sometimes. But when I'm able to kind of inhabit a space like this, it doesn't seem quite so real. And maybe I have a feeling that there tend to be times in all of our lives when that stuff doesn't feel so real, or it's at least like not in the forefront of our consciousness, you know? When we're absorbed in doing something, that recedes, you know, into the background, or maybe even slips away entirely for a little while. And then it comes back, and then you're back, you know, thinking about your past and your future, and who you are, and your relationships and your obligations and stuff like that. And it's like I don't know if it's possible really to like fully abandon any of those concepts. Wow, time's flying by today. You know, like could we fully, I guess, you know, if we fully abandon all those concepts and they just had no more bearing on reality, like I suppose our society would collapse, and life as we know it would not really continue. And I think I've talked about in the past how there's maybe been, you know, there's like exceptional individuals that seem to cross that threshold. Like Ramana Maharshi being the example that comes to mind. But I wonder also, like, sometimes I wonder about the experience of suicide, of what like on one hand, people are driven to do it to escape intense suffering, you know, but then there's been, you know, reports of people who have either survived a suicide attempt, or, you know, come really close to doing it, or come really close to attempting it, that like at that very last moment they're like a real sense of peace comes, and it's like a dropping off of all that conceptual burden of you know, what was causing the suffering, you know, these ideas of like of worthlessness as a person, maybe, or like the idea where, you know, this present suffering is like becomes like projected into infinity, into the future. Like I'll never feel happy again. But when people get to the point where they're, you know, accepting the idea of ending it all, you know, of ending the state of being, of like inhabiting a body at all, you know, giving that up, it's like in the process of that you're also giving up on any of these concepts of who you are, because you're not going to be anymore. like there's not going to be a future for you. So and so, like, you know, like there's not going to be the suffering anymore. There's not going to be there's not going to persist a you anymore to like be a failure, be worthless, or whatever it is that you think of yourself that causes you all this misery. And so what happens sometimes is if you're able to go that far of truly letting go of these conceptual aspects of yourself, you know, and of accepting, you know, this potential reality of not existing, of being nothing, of not even having experience. Like if you can go that far of like letting go of those concepts and those things, but you do it before you actually terminate your life, you might get a chance to experience being alive without any of this concept of self, of who you are. And in that state, you might just very well be able to experience being without suffering. And then you realize that that's possible. You know, directly confronting not having a future. It's possible to realize that the future never really existed anyways. Like the future is a mental projection that comes out of the present. So, directly, thinking like I might be actually coming up to the cessation of my life, I might be coming up to the end of future, end of having a future. And what's left, It's just like all that's left is like this state of being right now. And when you have just the state of being with nothing else, no evaluative of judgment, no concept of of yourself. You can realize an essential freedom there, It's like it's without suffering, and it's just like this is what this is, And kind of internally, it makes you reckon with essential meaningless of things. Once you've reckoned with that and you accept that, it's actually it's not so much that it matters per se whether you live or die, but you know, to be able to internally grapple with that meaninglessness means externally you manifest great meaning in life. Like meaning in the kind of relative sense, I suppose. It's like the you know, the continuous self, you know, that this idea that I was me and now I'm still me and I will continue being me. That's like same person. There's you know, continuity through my life, like that being ultimately illusory. It's like that there's no reason for suicide. It's like it's not gonna, you know, there is nobody, there's no one there to end, you know. There's not actually a person there for their life to end. You know, and then it's possible to go forward like staying a little bit, at least a little bit more connected to that truth. And in my experience, staying connected to that truth, I don't know. There's that really like in some kind of paradoxical way, like actually does imbue your life with a profound sense of meaning. Like to the extent that there is a you present, then it's one that is full of like purpose and confidence. Not confidence in the like egotistical way, but in the sense of like being so firmly rooted in reality, to where you're like not separate from it. It's like you're just like kind of an outgrowth of it, to where, like, you know, whatever could possibly happen to you, it's like it's only just kind of a surface level change in form. There's nothing there to be like vanquished. And so I would say to anyone, you know, experiencing some profound difficulty in their life, that it's you know, in some way it belongs and is an opportunity to become more deeply and profoundly rooted and connected in reality. And it's not exactly a consolation. I regret to tell you, sorry, not sorry. Because it's still gonna be just as, just as painful. Like it has to actually hurt. And you have to actually like experience like kind of the darker perspective of things sometimes, as and it is like a very real seeing through the veil of reality, and it can be kind of a harrowing experience. But don't ever let yourself be convinced that even though that seems like really real, don't ever be convinced that that is going to be a permanent state of things. Don't ever think that it's only that dark reality, and that because like I was talking about, like, polarization before. It's like if you're having an experience that seems like this painful, harrowing, like realization that what you thought was meaningful in life is actually not. It's like that is true in a sense, but it's not the only truth. It's not like ultimately and exclusively true. And in fact, there is actually like another truth of their existing actual meaning in life. And these two truths that seem totally opposed to each other are actually just two perspectives of the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. It's both yes, there is meaning in life, and also yes, there is profound meaningless in life, and also neither of those things are ultimately true. There's actually not meaning or meaninglessness. But there is polarized experience of reality. And if you are experiencing a profound meaninglessness, then you may be able to see how this is the other side of some meaning that you experienced before. if you're having this experience of meaninglessness, it implies, it necessitates the existence of its opposite, of meaning. If you're experiencing meaninglessness, I can almost guarantee you that you can remember a time when you actually experienced its opposite. You experienced meaning. And vice versa. Like, if you are feeling an especially strong sense of meaning in your life right now, I can almost guarantee you that you can remember a time in your life when you experienced the opposite, when you've experienced meaninglessness. If you've experienced a profound sense of happiness and belonging, then you must be able to remember a time in your life when you felt the opposite, of not belonging and a lot of sorrow. And so never buy into into your mind telling you that either of those states is permanent, or that one of them like trumps the other in truth. And having those experiences can contain an emotional content. There's, like your experience of reality includes an emotional experience that may be negative or positive or neutral. And when you look purely at emotion, unattached to any conceptual story, like you can notice that it is a physiological state of being. It's in your body. It's and that's like a very when you're having that experience, it's pretty hard to avoid experience because it's in your body. Like sadness, anger, joy, happiness. And if you're experiencing one of the things, you'll notice sometimes whatever is happening around you doesn't seem to really affect it, it's not dependent exactly on whatever's happening in the outside world that you can sense. You could be surrounded by all the things that you think you love the most, all the people you think you love the most, and still feel like a profound sadness and loneliness. And similarly, you could be feeling profound joy but still be in a situation that seems on the surface really difficult, or to lack any specific things that you love. Mentally, we connect these states of emotion to perceived objects in the external world. But it's possible to disentangle that mental connection. And so, You know, our experience will consist of emotions, and then it'll also consist of thoughts on top of that, and you know, the kind of
I know.
the kind of normal state of things is for those emotions to be strongly associated with the thoughts. The thought of external person that I want to be with, or I hate, I want them out of my life, or, you know, concept of, you know, like, how much money do I have? And you know, like we can, you know, maybe later we can, if you're not familiar with this like idea of money being kind of a collective abstraction that we all happen to agree upon. You know, in a very real sense, it's a conceptual abstraction, like how much money you have, and you know, like all these aspects of that you associate with yourself, all of them, in a very real sense, are conceptual abstractions, and they involve projections. You know, originating here within the present moment, you know, and projecting these abstractions outward into the world, and also outward into time, into the past and the future, which are themselves projections that are originating within this present moment. You know, the past is entirely conceptual. It consists of, you know, it's based upon memories. What are memories? Memories are synaptic structures that exist in our brain right now. They exist right now. Like that, the image that they conjure up in your mind is a representation of something that does not exist. You know? It can't exist. It can't exist apart from the synapses that are currently in your mind. And maybe also they're externally projected into our world via recorded information. You know, books, information. That's a way for us to externally project memories outside of our own synapses, and then that information interacts with our synapses to form another type of memory of the world. You know, and the information contributes to the creation of a collective memory, which we call history. And then similarly, the future does not exist outside of mental projections that exist right now. You know, it's a web of concepts that are based upon our memories, our collective memory, our, you know, history, conceptualizing those together, and maybe also maybe observing the present, maybe not really, and then making a projection based upon that of the future. But the future itself doesn't exist now, and therefore it doesn't exist at all. It does not exist beyond things that are physically present now. It exists in our minds, in our present experience. You know, in the interactions of the synapses in our brain, right now is the extent to which the future exists. And so in our present experience right now, there is consciousness, there's sense perception, and neither of those things, you know, requires, you know, time or anything like that. And then there are emotions, and emotions depend on, you know, the sensory experiences, because it's a physiological experience in your body, and it mainly depends on like the touch sensation, the touch sensation of your body, feeling your body, like feeling kind of the rate that your heart is beating, feeling like how your stomach feels, like feeling like, are your nerves like tingling, like a state, your state of like physiological arousal, you know, all these just physiological factors are what compose emotions, and they're all happening right now. Like they're not in the past or the future. They're right now. And if you're able to observe these emotions like very, very directly, without them being filtered through the concepts that you have, the thoughts that you have, you will find that they're much more ambiguous than such words like sad, happy, angry, lonely. It's like you're not just one of those. You're not feeling just one of those emotions like sad, angry, happy, lonely. You're feeling like a collection of physiological states of, like, you know, how fast is your heart beating? How alert do you feel? How much energy do you have? Are you feeling foggy? But those physiological states have a profound impact on the way that we think, the types of thoughts that we have. So kind of like on top of these emotions, this physiological state, there are thoughts. And kind of, you know, depending on like your sort of your thought patterns, your mental habits, the ways which you are inclined to think, those all become, strongly influenced by your physiological state. If you're feeling like, what we call happy, like aroused and energetic, then you our thoughts, like our experience of our thoughts is like filtered through that physiological state, and we interpret the thoughts based on that. And our depending on what conceptual structures that we are allowing to exist in our minds, structures of time, of identity, and so forth. Those structures can take on like a strongly negative or positive emotional valence depending on our physiological state. So for instance, if mentally, we're prone to thinking about the future a lot, if we're making projections in the future, like what will my experience be like in the future? What will my life be like in the future? If we're feeling a negative, physiological state, and our mind is thinking about the future, like it's going to tend to really worry and doubt and fear. Like what if all these bad things happen? What if I don't manage to maintain or find or maintain a good relationship? Like what if I'm lonely? What if I die lonely? What if I like never find a decent job? What if I never accomplish anything? And it's like this feedback loop. Where it's like I feel terrible now, and my mind is projecting the future, and like it's like it's creating this illusion that like I'm gonna continue feeling terrible like all like long into the future. The rest of my life is gonna be this feeling, this negative feeling. And because I feel so negative, I won't be able to accomplish anything, because people will see how negative I feel, and they'll avoid me and won't associate with me, and I'll just be so negative and lonely the rest of my life. And then we can similarly be projecting really positive concepts about the future that are actually just as illusory. Like I'm gonna be this and that, and like accomplish this and that, and get this and that, and it's gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna be such a great person. I'm gonna be so happy. I'm feeling awesome right now. Like this feeling of greatness right now is gonna continue forever, and I'm just gonna keep feeling better and better. and people are gonna be so, everybody's gonna be so attracted to me and to my positivity and such. But and that sounds like a good way to feel, but that self is also, it's unstable, because it's still creating a very like this very big, complex, seemingly solid notion of the self that is actually going to run up into reality and be disappointed sometimes, and so like to the extent that to the extent that it runs up into reality and conflicts with reality, like it gets shattered, and then you have this harrowing look through the veil where, I'm not who I thought I was gonna be. And like let's say, like, aside from the future, like, what if we're we could actually be creating a concept of our identity in the present as well. Like, who are we now? Or that's like like, and that similarly can be like very positive, positively or negatively valenced. Like, could be negative in the sense of like, man, I have nothing. I'm like, I don't have enough money. I don't have a good enough job. I don't have a good partner. I'm not accomplished enough. I'm not in a position of power enough. I'm nothing. I'm worthless. And I feel terrible. But it's like those, all those things are mental abstractions that are projected, out of this present experience, and they don't have a real fundamental reality in your present experience, like beyond the extent that they are occupying your thoughts, that those thoughts are occupying your mind. And when you're experiencing a negative physiological state of, like, very low energy, low mental energy, like what we associate with sadness, then those you're gonna tend towards negative evaluation of whatever thing your mind can come up with that's negative. Like, it's gonna do it. Or it's positive. Like, you can have like a gigantic ego about who you are and feel really positive about that, but still, like, that's all, like, and and that's all an identity that is a web of abstractions that your mind has cooked up. Like when you're able to kind of observe your experience a lot, you know, I don't know, what am I talking about a lot? Like, I can only do it right now, you know, observe your experience right now. It's like it's possible to parse out all the different components of it. You know, you can observe everything that you're sensing. You know, what's coming into your eyes, what's this visual information here, and your ears, what sounds are going on, and the touch sensations. You know, what am I feeling touching my body, and also beyond that, like, what are the feelings that are coming from my body itself, whether it be like from the skin or from inside. And feelings of weight or pressure or whatever, like it, you know. And then there's the other sense of, and you know, like within that, like you might observe, you know, like the sensory information that contains, you know, what we would call your emotion, your physiological state, and you just observe that. And then there's like what we could also like classify as another kind of sense is your thoughts. Like what are the thoughts that are occurring right now? And am I leaving it? Yeah, and then you know, the big one that I've left out so far is observing consciousness itself. Like the actual act of observing the observer. What's going on there? And you know, you just observe all these things, and like maybe you'll see like how they all, in what manner are they all affecting each other or not, or to what extent are they independent of each other. Do you have any control over them? You know, just you ask yourself that question. Is there an internal you that can do something about the thoughts or your physiological state, or you know? And then if you start to kind of like get familiar with you know, the tendencies of your mind. That's really helpful in being able to kind of to regulate yourself in a way that's more substantial than what might be going on if you're just like not actually like aware of this phenomenon of thinking. Because you can start to you can start like orienting yourself based on kind of like more meta levels of thinking, like if you know, like at one point if you're like ruminating about something, you know, churning something over in your head, feeling so shitty about it, you start to become like aware of this process of ruminating rather than actually just being identified with the ruminating. You know, like it's like in that process of ruminating, it's like is that you're the like the highest level of reality that you're aware of is like that thought process, like that thought process is reality for you? Or are you able to actually take a meta look, you know, from a meta level up and be like whoa, I'm actually just kind of like turning these thoughts over in my head, and I'm feeling crappy while I do it. And so just that step up, like realizing that is what's going on, then you can take an action of doing something to stop that. You could, like, you know, just like change your activity, or you like go and like talk to your friends, or you like maybe like you stop staring at the computer and like go outside or something, because then like you know, you can realize, you can notice your mind doing things and then take some action to guide it towards doing something more productive, or to stop doing something that's unproductive. And you can notice your physiological state and when it's like when it doesn't feel good, and do something to make it feel good. Like, you know, if you're like, maybe you're like kind of like huddled over the computer, like looking at Facebook or something, and like feeling like a lot of like tension, like your body's real tense as you look at Facebook and you look at other people's lives and how well off everybody else is, and like how much fun they're having, or how they're so much more accomplished than me, but just kind of noticing like how tense your body is. You know, you're like hunched over, and then like by noticing that, you can actually like control your emotions to some extent by just like, maybe you just like sit up or relax, or beyond that, you turn off the computer and like go go talk to a person, or just, you know, walk outside, or just like lay on your floor, lay on the floor of your room and look at the ceiling. You know, clean your room, something like that. Put away your laundry, and then like you do something like that, and then you notice, oh, I'm like not so tense anymore. I'm just like putting away my laundry, or like, oh, it feels kind of nice to just like lay on my back on the floor and stare at the ceiling. Maybe I'll do a little headstand. You know, get upside down for a second. And see if I can touch my toes. You know, and you know, continuing this process of just like observing yourself, and hopefully, you know, being able to observe from like higher, like broader perspectives on your own patterns of emotions and physiological states and patterns of thoughts, and then able to regulate them in much more like effective, like high level ways. And then it can lead to a lot more well-being, and start to improve these like patterns in your life. But it's not, and it's not so much that like I'm talking about like really specific behaviors. Like I'm not saying that like looking at Facebook is like inherently unhealthy or something. Like, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe it brings you a lot of happiness. Maybe it brings you a nice serotonin boost once in a while when you need it or something, or whatever. I'm not like telling you need to put your laundry away or clean your room or something, although generally speaking those things like make you feel pretty good. It's more just I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I think people arrive at ways of doing this sometimes by themselves, but you know, it helps to like have other people in your life that have those good habits. And you find somebody around who seems to have really like good habits, and then just like see if you can spend more time with them or something. I don't know. Man, I feel really grateful for the relative warmth of this weather. It's kind of overcast, but that makes it kind of like easy on the eyes, you know. The sun's not blaring in my eyes. There's birds. You know, this environment, I have to say, is conducive to a very calm physiological state. And man, yeah, I just noticed, like, I feel like so calm that it's like I feel transparent. Like a type of relaxation, like I mean, not totally relaxed, but like almost so neutral that like but connected, that it's like feeling permeable as a person. Feeling permeable as in not so separate from the outside world right now. And this is like happening more and more in these walking talking videos. I feel like, but it kind of always was. It kind of always was like this. And then this is just like, this feels just like uncovering something. You know, I don't know. I might be full of shit. I might be trying to grasp onto one side of a duality here. There's always that danger, you know, because you never know. You know, you never really know if what you're seeing is like, you know, the real, like, neutral reality, or if it's actually just one side of polarity. You guys gotta be careful. But usually the telltale is that you're having an experience that is beyond mental. Like, it might include meditation, it might include thoughts, it might even, you know, include concept of yourself and of time or something, but being aware of something that is actually greater than thought, and more inclusive than just myself versus world, myself here, world out there. And you know, that's what I'm getting little blasts of, little like like on like this level where like I can see, like, from this perspective, like yeah, there's this reality where I'm this person inhabiting this body in this world that's outside of my body, but then this other perspective that's like it's very, it's kind of ineffable, but it's like there's just this experience here, just this experience happening, and not separate conceptions.
Is that a telephone?
Oh no, it's a camera.
So you're doing it like the movie up here?
It's yeah, basically.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, very
With
narcissistic.
solar power.
Yeah, solar power.
Very cool.
Very narcissistic.
Well, you know, as long as it's not the end, as long as it's the beginning, it's alright.
It's not. It might be beginningless and endless.
That's good. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
All right, the camera looks like it froze up, and so I have kind of a sinking feeling that in that last segment, either the video froze, or it's possible that we lost some video entirely. I don't know until I get home and try to import the video. But it does this, it's been doing this thing where the camera freezes up. It's so bad, man. GoPro, get it together. Everybody seems to be experiencing this with their GoPro. Losing footage. GoPro, get it together. customer support not helpful at all. You know, I already did the troubleshooting things that you suggested and it didn't work. People even got their cameras replaced and still have the same problem. But you know, I've been stopping and restarting the video every half hour so that hopefully we don't lose too much. But I don't know, maybe the audio is present. But it's all right. So I was talking about, I was talking about getting these you know, these glimpses of a type of like a perspectival perspective, as in a type of awareness that is not just like doesn't feel like it's just like localized in this body and then looking out in the world, but it's I mean, it is in some sense, but like it's more of just like being the experience, like being everything that I can sense, like the sensory experience, that also being me, and everything that's contained within it also being me, which includes like you know, what I would conventionally talk about as the outside world. But you know, within that, it's not like it's not like I then just like lose my ability to like function as a person. Like there's still this person here walking and talking and is fully capable at any moment of, like, you know, recalling any memories that are present in this brain, of referencing, you know, aspects of a personal life, that, you know, that's fully like within the capabilities here. Or doing just about anything that you know, normal me can do. But it's not really like a loss of anything, I guess. But it's like, yeah, I don't know, like merging or something, melting. Not in any physical sense, but just in terms of identity. It's like identifying with everything that's experienced and everything that's sensed. And it might be, you know, the thought might occur to me to just, like, you know, walk in silence and experience that, but you know, I'm you know, we still maintain the process here, the framework, the thing that we've set out to do and continue. It's so funny walking and talking. Like, anytime I'm not doing it, I'm inhabiting this, you know, everyday like self, like this Ben Bennett self that has all these thoughts about walking and talking. But then when I'm doing it, it's like a completely different perspective on the world. Or it's just like a different orientation, a different type of experience. You know, and of course the two are not really separate, you know, like this is still I'm still like, you know, still contiguous with whatever the rest of my life is. You know, we haven't like altered the laws of physics, and we're not like existing in some other dimension. But just when I do this, it's like the quality of experience is so much, I don't know what it is. There's something different about it, and yet there's something constant, something that remains the same as all of my life, and that's just like the really like the most fundamental component of experience, you know. I don't know what I'm saying. The most fundamental component of experience, what is that? Like at this moment, I can't like point to anything that's like specific other, you know, I can't point to anything that's other than experience. Like there's not a more or less fundamental right here, right now. There's not like a like it feels like false now to talk about any aspect of myself as being more fundamental than any other aspect. Like even the things that I'm saying, it's not like, you know, like before when I was talking about like meaninglessness and like duality of meaning and meaningless, like that's gone. Like any form of like differentiation between like something like subject, object, and action, you know, like all those feel merged right now. Like talking, like that's not that, it's not like a me and then an action that me is doing. It's like there's just talking here. It's like this is like I am talking, and I'm also and walking. Like that's what I am right now. Along with like everything else, like thoughts, sensations, you know, body. But like even when I say each one of those things, it also feels awkward because they don't even feel separate from each other. I mean, it's like, you know, like in a sense, I can look at that tree over there, and it's not like I can, like, you know, have the experience of like what is it like to be that tree. It's like not like I'm in that tree, like having the tree's experience or something. And like I guess you know, it's like I can say that I'm like localized in this body. But like on the same note, it seems like it seems just as true to say that like the sensation here is creating this body. Like I can say that I'm here in this body, like sensing the world from the location of this body, but then equally true, it's like it's equally true that like the sensation and the world at large like create this body, create the experience of this body. Excuse me for a moment. I guess I was just like taking a moment and like continuing to think about what I just said. And also like still thoughts, kind of there are still thoughts present, like just kind of like like personalized thoughts of me in my relation to the world, of you know, thoughts about my personal life, like those come in sometimes, and like maybe we're kind of like triggered just by I don't know, like by association with something that I said. You know, there's like, yeah, like certain thoughts of my personal life just seem they're just like itching to come into my mind. They're so pertinent and like ripe to keep like arising in my mind. And so like looking for any little thing to associate with, to start to drag my mind in that direction. And maybe it tends to happen more like towards the end of walking, talking, when I start to, you know, walk back towards home. We still got a good amount of time here. We still got, you know, we have time to keep like investigating ourselves. You know, let's not get bogged down in some kind of goal like that, though. You know, this is our time. This is our time to be free from goals. This is our time to not worry about ourselves. I guess it shares something in common with entertainment in that sense, in that regard, in that function. Still, yeah, more like practicality thoughts. I started thinking about titles of this video. You know, my mind is like drifting towards the sort of like real world manifestation of this experience, which I kind of feel like detracts from it in a sense. But you know, we're able to include everything like that. We're able to include all kinds of these thoughts because, you know, we just keep observing. We keep observing them and then saying them. You know, you think something and you say it as quickly as possible. And not like well, you know, I'm not actually narrating every thought that I have, because there's certain thoughts that I'm actually kind of telling you about instead of telling you the specific thought itself, because I know that the specifics of that thought are not relevant to you, and therefore, like, it doesn't like bring me much joy to share that with you. It brings me much more joy to share with you observations on the nature of my thinking, of like the habits and patterns that I notice, and just like the more yeah, like, and the quality of this experience that I'm having, because I figure that to be that's just what I'm interested. That's the way that I'm interested in relating to you. That's why I'm doing this. I'm interested in relating to you in a I guess like in a way that feels like in some sense direct and intimate, although, you know, there's a limitation to that because we're mediated through YouTube, but a pretty direct kind of communication, but that's not personal. It's like depersonalized. And it's not just depersonalized in like a functional, like, educational sense. You know, of like, I don't know, telling you how to do something. But I guess maybe you could consider some of what I've said as like telling you how to do something, or like directing you towards something. Yeah, I guess I was kind of talking in that mode for a while, of feeling like I was pointing you in a direction or something. But like to as much as possible, like have a real experience of depersonalization. And I just kind of I have that when when I hear myself talking, and I just like, for this long period, you know, there's no escape from my thoughts, and I hear myself talking, and then like I witness my mind like kind of sometimes echoing the words that I just heard myself say, like for a moment after I say it, like I say something, and then kind of like observe that memory forming of hearing myself say it just a moment ago, and being like, whoa, like what was that? Was that myself doing that? Was that like me exercising free will? Like now that I look at it, it actually just kind of, in some ways, kind of just feels like it's just happening, and I'm like just observing something happening here, and that's really something, you know. That's something that happens here, that if it does happen in real life, then it's like, I mean, in regular life, then like it's maybe a little less marked, or a little less detectable or apparent for me. Yeah, it's just like, you know, all of the you know, like spending this amount of time doing this, like you get to this point where it feels like it's just happening on its own accord, and it feels like myself, like it feels like I'm just happening automatically, like not like at every moment being just like, every moment being like an instant kind of just like manifestation of reality, like reality continually, like just at every like observable moment, like how fine-grained can I observe time? You know, is it, if I start to like really observe time like really acutely, is it granular, you know? Are there actually like slices of time? I think I have read that there is a certain like frequency at which your mind perceives, like frequency of like, you know, neurons firing, that like equates to, you know, a frequency at which your mind is able to perceive reality, like, and so like as if it like happens in slices rather than truly being continuous. So I would like to, you know, I would like to be able to experience that, like to be able to witness that, to witness my like the most fine-grained observation of my consciousness. If it is manifesting in these slices of time, to be able to witness those individual slices. I can't say for sure that that's happening right now. But it's kind of like the speed of, I can kind of observe like my speed of perception or something. Like if I like, is it possible actually to like actually perceive exactly now as opposed to actually just be experiencing like a memory of like the instant that just passed? Like, is that possible? Because every time I see like, can I observe now, it's like actually like that's already a memory. Like where is actually now? Like, can I actually get can I actually be experiencing it as you know, as it happens? Is that really possible? I don't think it's possible to be narrating that experience in real time, because, you know, even the process of, you know, forming words like requires all this stuff to happen, all this conceptualizing, and then, you know, nerves have to fire from my brain to my mouth and form sentences, and then, like, you know, so it's like I don't think the speed of verbalizing is going to be like anywhere near caught up to the speed of experience. But it's interesting, like, you know, I can kind of observe the speed of verbalizing, and that feels like I can kind of observe, like, and then like, you know, once I get to that, then I can also get closer to observing the speed of thought, you know, being able to observe the thoughts as they happen. And I get to a certain point where it's like my observation of myself talking feels pretty much, well, I was gonna say it feels pretty much like conjoined with thinking, as if I am able to talk without thinking beforehand. But when I really look closely, it seems like, you know, I'm just not always able to witness the thoughts form before I say them. But sometimes I am. Sometimes I am able to kind of remember, oh, that thought like just occurred in my mind before, like an instant before I said it. And so like I just have this feeling that, like, even beyond that, there's then this like even you know, faster process happening, just of experiencing reality like that, even on a much faster rate, that like maybe I'd have to, you know, I wonder if to observe that if I might have to not be involved in the you know, this cognitive process of you know, this linguistic mental process. Like, I might have to have all of my attentional resources devoted towards observing the now in a very fine-tuned, fine-grained, you know, acute observation. Oh, time to restart the video. Boy, time is flying by today. maybe it's because of the relatively pleasant weather, but you know, there's all the factors involved. Like when I started this video, I was talking about how I felt just like so regular, like a just regular guy. I had breakfast. I had a regular breakfast, you know, eggs and toast, actually. With some I think it's called like Zug sauce on there, like that. So it's like I think it's like a Mediterranean sauce that's made out of mostly cilantro. It's spicy. Put that on the eggs on the toast, and you know, just felt like, and it was just like, I'm just gonna have like I'm just gonna be like a regular person today and actually eat breakfast. And then I you know, started walking, talking, and I'm like, man, I just like feel regular, you know, like I just like feel like a normal person, and feel so fine with that, and feel like I can just walk and talk and experience this natural expression of being. Oh man, yeah, and I just, at the moment, I just feel like kind of wonderful about that. I feel kind of wonderful about this. Like independent of any, like, you know, real world manifestation of this, you know, any independent of any reaction or response or popularity. I feel some kind of power to what's going on, and when I say that, I'm aware of like that just being like one side of a dualism, where it's also completely, you know, just nothing, you know, it's just is what it is. And I'm just like down with this isness, very down with it. I feel like very down with myself. And that's, you know, I know that, you know, that's of course, you know, probably one side of a duality. If I'm saying I'm really down with myself, like I'm simultaneously, you know, familiar with the experience of being not down with myself. I mean, like, look at these bricks. Like, look at this brick man here. Look at that. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This brick is down with himself, you know? He's like, he doesn't even, you know, there's no brain here, you know? This brick is not motile, it's not animate, it doesn't have thoughts, it doesn't have its own concept of identity, it doesn't like have this illusion of time, you know? It's just like, to the extent that we can say that there's any experience here, it's like it's pretty much the ultimate, like, merger, you know? It's the ultimate melting and merger with, like, with the rest of reality, you know? There's no mental structures going on here, you know? This guy is like, could not be more down with himself. And that's like, you know, like, it's like that's something we can aspire towards, you know, being more like this brick. But then, like, by aspiring towards anything like that, then we're kind of like, we're messing it up, you know? We're like, it's like you can it's like, you know, it's like, be like the brick man, but also, like, don't worry about being like the brick man, you know? Just be down with yourself. You know, he is our, like, example of how to be, of being down with yourself, and you know, we have to embody that spirit, like, here and now. You know, we're not going to, like, we're not gonna like enshrine Brickman and, like, pray to Brickman. Or, like, if we do, you know, if we do that, if we, like, start worshiping Brickman, it's like, we have to remain aware that, like, Brickman's, like, entire function is only to point us back towards ourselves, and to realize that, you know, like Brickman is down with himself, we are down with ourselves. You know, it's not, and it's not like us here, Brickman there. It's not separate. We don't want to, like, we don't want to be like us in here, like, looking outwards upon Brickman, you know, and being like, that's Brickman, that's me. It's no, it's like, there's unity. To embody the qualities of Brickman means to directly experience unity of reality. Which is the most profound downness with oneself. Move my head around because for some reason I think it's, like, looks more fashionable when it's, like, just kind of resting on the top of my head and like not covering as much. I think this looks more fashionable, and I look more attractive this way. I'm attractive. I'm attractive. Especially from this angle, it's probably more attractive. Yeah, straight on, not profile. Head-on shots. That's where not so strong in profile. you know what to say. It's like I could say that I'm feeling happy, but I'm kind of becoming aware that contained within that idea that of feeling happy, I'm realizing that that involves some conceptualization, some conceptual relationship to my immediate past, like memories of immediate preceding events, like in the past few minutes or something, like lingering on my mind and amusing me, feeling amused, and then also mentally projecting like into your experience, like and kind of projecting amusement on your behalf, and by doing that, like kind of that increases my happiness when I am thinking about you being amused, or maybe or also like maybe thinking about you being confused, thinking about you being confused, also kind of it is contributing to some of my own amusement. But I feel, yeah, man, I can't deny that I feel pretty happy. You know, I'm not gonna fall for the delusion of this being any kind of permanent state, but my belief in this, and my belief in this format of walking talking is growing. I think that my commitment to this is growing. Because of the quality of experience that I have while I'm doing it. And then also, like, it's manifestation in the rest of life, you know, where it's like it's on YouTube, and then like I have this you know, collection of material that I identify with to some extent, and it being a way of relating to people. And feeling a sense of connection with the world through that. It's like I feel like thinking about that, I feel almost like the emotional, like the kind of like emotion words that are like coming up to my mind are things like joy and inspiration, and like it almost it not quite, but like almost made me like want to choke up, like tears of happiness, almost. Not quite there. But then so I investigated like what's the physiological state that's associated with that, and like my attention was just like drawn toward my heart area, and it's like a feeling of fullness in my heart area, and I don't know if I don't know if that's like is that really like an objective observation? Is that like an empirical observation of like like fullness in my heart. Like what does that mean, you know, like in any like logical scientific way? Like what does fullness mean? Like obviously, like what is my heart full of that it wasn't full of before? You know, it's full of blood. It's always been full of blood, and always, you know, it was just like, or you know, I'm wondering, like, am I actually just like kind of like, am I like culturally conditioned to associate certain ideas or feelings with the heart, you know? Why do we associate the heart with like love or something? Is it I feel like my theory, like, and I'm sure that somebody else has actually like expounded upon this in more depth, is that, like, you know, the heart beating or something like is one of the physiological components of emotion. But it was just like when I was, you know, trying to describe my emotions, you know, some words of like fullness and love and compassion and inspiration and gratitude, like all of those feelings, and then like kind of searching for like what's the physiological basis for this, and my attention just went like immediately towards this area, like just some kind of not exactly able to describe, like draw towards that area or sensation going on in that area. Like a feeling that if I could give the entire world a hug, I would do it. Like, you know, there's not like a physical way to do that, really. But like, yeah, I don't know, a consensual hug, you know, not like I'm not gonna force it on every person, you know. Not everybody wants a hug all the time. But just like, I don't know, for me, like internally, giving everybody a hug. Cause man, it's fucking hard sometimes, man. Just being a person. Holy shit, it's fucking insane sometimes. Holy shit. Just like, I don't know. Just like anybody who fucking manages to like continue like on in life, I'm just like, holy shit, like holy fucking shit. That's amazing. And like I just want to like say like that's fucking hard to do, and like I just want to like congratulate you for continuing to be a person. That's the amount of like difficulty involved in that is fucking amazing. It's insane. It is fucking insane that you are here now and that you've like overcome all the obstacles that you have in your life and you've gone through all these experiences in your life. That's fucking insane. You're like, in my book, you're like a fucking hero just for existing. And it's like this slight misty rain, but just like, you know, it's just like, it feels like a little bit of like tiny, tiny rain droplets falling. They're like, it's almost like a mist. So like, so refreshing. It's like so, it's like better than not rain, better than no rain. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like, you know, ready. I feel ready to be done with this video. You know, I want to say like this feels like a good like ending point, but like, you know, that's not how we do things here at Walking Talking. We do the full 4 hours. How much time do we have left? Oh. We have like another half hour. So, you know, like, you know, we continually like let go of whatever happened in the past. Like, you know, if what I just said like seemed like inspired or something, well, let it go, because, you know, we're gonna keep going here. You know, we're not gonna end on that and then like just like rest by like letting that be the thing that that occupies our memory moving forward. No, we have to keep looking here. We have to keep looking at what's going on here. And it's fine. Like, you know, we let it go. Like, we let go of the inspiration and just like see what's here. You know, don't cling on to inspiration. You let it go, because, you know, just look what's here. What's going on now? And even if it's like totally uninspired, totally normal, and does it feel disappointing in comparison? Well, let yourself feel disappointed, and then get over it, and then just you know, accept where you are now, and you can appreciate this memory of inspiration if you want. Well, hopefully it's not gonna cast the present moment into a negative contrast. You know what I'm saying? Look at that duck. I like ducks. Ducks, like, I don't know, ducks like, just like, there's something comical about them. Like, they just, anything they do, there's like just inherently like something comical. I fucking love ducks. I think, you know, I think ducks are down with themselves. They seem like it. Do you think that condo development is down with itself? Do you think the people that will live in the condo development will be down with themselves? That's the real question. I like to think that the condo development itself might be down with itself. I guess, like, maybe if you, I don't know, if you can separate it from like whatever psychic energy the actual developers are putting into that. I don't know. I don't know the developers personally. Maybe they're down with themselves. Maybe they're not. But the building itself, it doesn't have any agenda. But it's a product of an agenda. But then, you know, you zoom outwards far enough and then there's no agenda. You zoom outwards enough and then it's just is what it is. And then, you know, everything's down with itself. Everything's down with itself ultimately. I feel amused thinking of some potential titles for this walking and talking episode. I feel hungry, which I feel excited about feeling hungry. So that means I'm gonna get to eat and experience pleasure. Is this, you know, am I I'm doing the thing that I was talking about. I'm like, I'm occupying mental projections into the future. But I can't help. I'm smelling. There's a smell of like onion rings that's very strong right here, stimulating my hunger. Oh, it's really strong as something batter fried. Just, you know, we're just getting back in a regular reality here, and I'm down. You know, I am down with like living normal life. Fuck, man. I'm so down with living normal, with being a normal person, having a normal life, and then dying eventually. I'm just down as fuck right now. I'm like down with the world. I'm down with you. I'm down with your crew. I don't know. I guess that's for your crew to decide. I hope you're down with me, but if you're not, it's okay. I'll still be down with you, even if you're not down with me. I want for you to have this experience of being down. Be down. It's great. It's so great. Sorry, just like, you know, like drifting off in my thoughts about how down I am. It's kind of stupid. Time to restart the video again. All right. Last segment. Home stretch. Home slice. What, you know, why am I talking like this? Why this enthusiasm? Where's my detachment? I don't know, it's just my sensory experience and my thought experience filtered through my physiological state. That's all it is. Why the upbeat physiological sensation state? I can't really say. I don't know what the call it. Hey bird. I've won you over at this point. You know, you're like creating like neural like friendship bonds in your mind with my face now. You're like you're creating like ooh. I haven't actually stopped to just like stare into the camera like this for a while. This feels intimate. This feels intimate. Eye contact. Oh. We're forming a bond. Oh no. Oh no. Weird. Oh, so weird. Okay, sorry. A little awkward now. I hope I haven't overstepped my boundaries. Or your boundaries. Let's do it again. Okay. No laughing this time. Alright. I was distracted. I was distracted that time by the jogger running by because I was like realizing I look like such a you know, threat, or you know, not a threat, but like potential mugger or something like that, holding this wooden stick. I'm just like, you know, holding this wooden stick looking like a creep and acting like a creep. It's okay. This rain is so good. Just this like really light, tiny raindrops. It's the best. Just look at this, you know? Some witch hazel. Look at that. Thing to look at. There's all kinds of things to look at. It's like these shapes on the wall, whatever, you know. You can look at it, you know, the thing there. Look this way, you know. Thing that way. Look up and it's like the sky, whatever. So, you know, all kinds of options, you know. Where do we want to direct our attention? There's, you know, unlimited options. You got the visual field, you got the sound field, the sensation, you know, like fingers a little cold, body a little bit chilly. Like, what about you? Are you sitting in a chair? You're like lying in bed or something? What are you doing? Like, your back straight, or you slumped over? You know, whatever. Are you starting to think about things that you might do, like at the end of this video, like thoughts like that starting to come in? Maybe I should go to sleep, or eat something, or clean my room, or you know, send an email. See if somebody, see if anybody tagged me in something on Facebook. Yeah, like meditate or something. You know, maybe get a little ambitious or something like that. Start a small business. It's life, you know. It's like, here we are. We're back in, you know, back in conventional, we're back in town, you know, like physically as well as like, just like, like spiritually, we're like back in town, you know. Yeah, we're back. We went somewhere, now we're back, you know, back where we came from, back where we started, you know. We're fresh, feeling fresh.
That's it now, yeah.
So they figure.
You know, it's like, at this point, you know, at this point it's like a relief to just occupy your social self, you know. Just like get back into like, oh yeah, I'm like your friend, and like you're that person I work with, you know, like, and I'm that person you work with, like, oh yeah, you know, we know that we know each other, you know. Like, just we go back into our social self, and it's like a relief, you know? You're like, oh yeah, this kind of feels easy now, you know? After doing all this like depersonalization, now it's like we're like refreshed and like ready to go back and just inhabit ourselves, our just regular selves. It's like we're down now, you know? You're down now. We're down. Maybe like we might have started in a place where, you know, earlier when we like weren't feeling completely down with ourselves, but now we're just down, you know? It's like we're gonna, you know, just go and like go and fulfill those needs, you know? Just jump right in and fulfill those physiological and emotional needs. Just go get them, you know? Get it. Excuse me. Remember when we were making direct mediated eye contact? Want to try that again? I don't know why it feels like slightly uncomfortable. It's funny. Even with the mediating camera and screen and thousands of miles between us, and even the temporal gap, it's like uncomfortable. It's like slightly uncomfortable, but thrilling. Are we bonding? I don't know. What am I bonding with? The abstract idea of you? Yeah, kind of. But you know, I'm giving you an internal hug. I'm giving you a psychic hug. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm still here with you. Don't get too attached now. I don't know. I guess you can get attached if you want. I am going to keep doing these things. But don't get upset if I'm like not, you know, always there. If I'm absent, I'm just like, you know, taking care of myself, or taking care of something I need to do. But, you know, just know that I care about you. But I kind of mean that, I don't know. Like, you're asking yourself, like, you know, how can I care about you personally? I can't even see you. I don't know about the specifics of you. I don't know about the specifics of your identity, what you're like, but, you know, I know that you're willing to watch this. I know that you're watching this now, and like, that's enough for me. And kind of, you know, but beyond that, like, still, you know, just the fucking amazing fact that you are a person and you've gone through this life, this insane life, and you made it here. You got this far. Like, that's fucking mind-boggling, and like I'm in awe. And like, you know, anybody who's done that, anybody who's just like lived to this point, like, I'm down with you, and I care about you. It doesn't, you know, it's like, and that care, like, doesn't necessarily imply like that I can meet every one of your needs. That's highly unlikely. But I can express care in this capacity. And I'm happy to do that. And maybe actually, you know, to put in my little self-interested plug, I've been able to express care in a more personalized capacity with some of the people that I've met through my Patreon page. So I've put that, you know, little self-interested plug here. I'll put the link in the description of the Patreon page. It makes for a possibility of interaction in a more personal way. Transactional though it may be, it's personal, and it's bastardized through the transaction, but You know, that's that duality we see. You know, we got this space, that seems non-transactional, non-functional, rife with a profound depersonalization and independent from the practicalities of the world. But then, you know, no, it's actually like, you know, and then we see it's like connected to practicalities that depend on transactions and the you know, inextricableness of the just mundane and boring facts of a world of money. It's okay, it's all right, you know. It's like, it is what it is. We can abide in this, you know, non-dual understanding that I have a Patreon account. And without being too disgusted, by that. It's okay. It's okay. Ew. Oh. Sorry. What's let me check the time. I think we're done here. I'm hoping that we didn't like lose footage when the camera froze up that one part, and but if we did, I'm pretty sure. I hope we didn't lose very much. At most, it could have been. At very most, it could have been a half an hour lost. But you know, don't like worry about anything that you might be missing or something. It's all equally, you know, what it is. I genuinely feel gratitude for you, for watching this, for being here at this moment, for living. I feel gratitude for you being who you are. Holy shit. Holy shit. Thank you. And you know, give me lots of money. Or don't, or you know, continue enjoying for free. Yeah, keep on going, you know? Be down with yourself. All right. See you next time.